Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I'm SB Ansel, and I'm all about creating health and awareness and also just basically sharing my life story with this Bridges syndrome, OCD, anxiety, and the like, along with basically as a mentor, hopefully, support advocate, whatever you want to call me, basically just to give you tips and advice, or just advice in general and encouragement and support basically on everyday topics that may become of use to you or anyone around you, so that we can actually basically support one another, build each other up no matter what we go through in our lives, because I know that for a fact we shouldn't be suffering in silence. We should be able to reach out to others regardless what it is. So not further ado though, guys, before I begin, basically I've been just sitting down contemplating about some topics that I want to share on my other channel, even though it's a playlist of my beauty from ashes, that if you want to know what I'm meaning on there, is basically that the Beauty from Ashes channel was supposed to be a separate channel to the one of my everyday life of an SB, but then I thought, excuse my term, screw it, I'll just keep it together so I don't have to work too much on the thing. It's just meaning I'll have to, alternate the videos or video topics, shall we say, to the right subjects or listings on my page there that I've got there already for you guys, so that hopefully that we can get along out there by just basically, being able to understand one another and maybe, like I said, be of support regardless what it is. So no further ado, guys, before I was talking about basically what I felt in my heart to share with you all, basically while, being in my little quiet world of mine, basically based on just everyday things, be it the spoken word of pick me apart / truth / of the hashtag, basically I should say, spoken word, basically what all that is about, basically is all about, just my food for thoughts about, how many people in my life right now, what I've learned past and present, regardless who they may be. As I say, I call them haters that, throw me off my bend of life, of what I have to go through. We shouldn't have that many distractions in life, regardless what it may be, and hopefully that no matter what though, many people can see us for the real deal. So in all further ado, guys, hopefully this one, as well as these many other ones that I'm going to bring out on my Beauty from Ashes channel, so I can give myself a break on my life story right now, which I'll share more of what's going on with me in a moment, hopefully, in one of my sections. But for now, I just want to talk about, I don't know if I should say this, but the title is going to call Get Out of My Life Now, about toxic people. What I've learned right now, though, however, as I said earlier in the piece, based on that, tear me apart, pull me apart, or whatever you want to call it, of that video you'll see soon, is that I've learned that, some people in our lives we need to cut ties with, no matter who and what they are, because we don't deserve to be dragged down and actually being reminded about our past mistakes, failures, and people picking out our faults and flaws. So what I'm going to say right now as I begin this is, I want to give you a few questions to ask yourselves right now. Is, do we have any toxic people in our lives? Do we want to be happy and actually be at peace in our lives? Do we want these toxic people to rule our lives and run everything that may come our way? Be it, for example, maybe a job, career opportunity, expect, like here's an example, someone may call you up from a job, say, oh, yo, bro, I've got a job lined up for you in America. Are you willing to take this offer up? And they'll, give you the details, here's an example. Or if for another example is for that, if these toxic people, they'll just feed you self-doubt and everything about your relationship that you're in, maybe, or that you fell in love with someone so hard and deep, like I've felt so many times before with some people, just done those, feeding doubts and that and negativities. But then again, I had to discern for myself, obviously, what's the real deal there for that particular someone I was dating. Many people may think, oh, Kieran, you're just too soft, you're too this, whatever you want to label me. But now I'm trying to learn now, to give only one or two chances and not several. So, but there's a different story there. Is there anyone in your lives that sucks out all our positive energy or vibes that we give out, as well as our happiness? Now, these are the questions you're going to have to answer to yourself, though, however. Because as we know that we are the only ones that can actually take control of our life, no matter what it may be, we should be able to sit down, contemplate on those questions I've just given you about this, topic that I want to share with you all that was close to my heart at the time, because I believe that there will be a lot of many toxic people, or as I call them, haters, basically, that will come in our circle to try and knock us out of the power of what we want to be or what we want to do. And many people may, challenge me, well, how do you get through it, Karen, and all this. But I'll share that with my life experiences later, even though I have shared briefly what I've done in that last piece of Tear Me Apart / hashtag truth, hashtag spoken word. As we know, is there anyone always bringing you down or even knocking you for what you want to do in your life, or what you dream to become or do? Yeah, they don't seem to agree or support you, or they may knock you down, but they act, two sides of the coin. They'll support you regardless that they're putting you down, dragging you down, and not supporting you in those dreams and visions. That's a good question, because I noticed that myself. Anyway, there are some days that we may, sometimes be able to notice these type of people right away, but however, sadly, after getting acquainted with them, however, knowing everything about them, there will be times in our lives that we're not so lucky to actually spot the difference between these toxic people and not, however. Okay, because like I said, the reasoning behind this, though, are the chances of we're getting to know and becoming so close to these type people, of the toxic people, I meaning, and wishing and hoping for them to change everything in them. But in reality, okay, only then again, it's their choice alone, basically, to change. Our choice also alone, if we want to actually just leave them behind. As many toxic people who's in our lives don't belong in our lives, however. But again, it's up to us, as it's also up to them if they wish to change themselves, which sadly in reality some of these toxic people don't wish to change. They'll stay the same. And basically with that in mind, basically, that sadly said, in reality, they don't think that they're the problem, not wanting to change, etc. All these other, life aspects that they share. We don't need to make any excuses for them. They need to accept and adjust to us not wanting to do anything for themselves, and accepting us for, moving on forward in our lives. We deserve to be at peace and being happy, however. We are in charge of our happiness, we're in charge of our peace, we're in charge of everything in our lives, basically, as I'm saying. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't matter what they think about us. Once a toxic person, always a toxic person. Or as I say, one of the videos over, or as I've said, in person, once a player, always a player, Once a cheater, always a cheater. Some people may not forever change, but then someone has challenged me on that and said, hang on a minute, Kieran, people can change if you give them that chance and actually da-da-da-da. But how many chances do you need to give them to actually prove that they're not going to do their way after they've broken your trust in the first place? They've broken your instincts about how you feel about that person, regardless if you, loved hard on that person and you're deciding to try and do your tough love, unconditional love, by letting them go and hope for the best and wish them well. If you want to know how I define a toxic person, basically, I define it as somebody who embarrasses you in social situations, belittling everything about you, regardless, big or small, making you feel bad about yourself, a person who keeps betraying your trust, and so much more. That's how I label it, as so many differentiations here of how I just define it, but that's my differentiation of basically a toxic person. Okay, most of us, most of the time, will find it hard to cut ties with these type people, of the toxic people, for a lot of reasons. But there's 3 reasons that sticks out like a sore thumb for me, and I feel will be the right way to say this to you all, regardless of what I've learnt. So bear with me, guys. So and don't come at me for going the wrong way of this. This is just based on my life experiences and what I've seen, felt, and whatever else I've been through in my life. So number 1 on the 3 classic things that I'm sharing with you all, they were or are close friends of ours. Number 2, they hang out with the same group of friends of ours. And last but not least, number 3, we feel obligated to just keep them around regardless, even if they have made those broken promises time and time again to us that they will change and whatnot. But I'll share this in my life experiences. I've now learned in the past and present, however, that despite my caring and loyal nature, as you know, I've learned to try and discern who's real and who's not. And to cut out these toxic people like I have already in my life. And not many people is actually appreciative of what I've done, you know, without giving them a reason. Why should I be giving you guys reasons about your toxicity or any reasons that you feel should be of use to actually just, you know, cut ties? Why should I give you that reason when you should know in yourselves why I did this in the first place? Sometimes there's certain things we can't give a reason to or at that time, however, you know, some people may need to learn for themselves of what they, you know, have said or done and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, though, I believe what I've done for cutting certain toxic people that has brought me down, tear me down, regardless who and what they are, that I felt in my heart of hearts, I need to be happy. I need to be at peace with myself and also try not to lose myself in the process of actually still being the person I am. As this is important to me as well as to my mental state of health versus my spiritual health, as well as basically it will be for you guys too if you decided to take that journey with me of basically cutting ties with these toxic people. Okay, there'll be two different ways I've seen how toxic people may work. Okay. Or shall we say, react to the situations when you do cut ties with them. Humbly apologize for how I'm wording this. Okay, number one is they'll act as if they don't care less and leave it as it is, basically. And the other one is they may act like they don't care, which is the other opposite, which is this, they act like they don't care. I mean, in reality they do, but then they just start, you know, picking out our faults, flaws, and imperfections. And number two, they'll do anything in their own power to make you feel bad for ending that relationship, be it a friendship, be it a relationship, if you came out of a toxic relationship. Okay, but again, that's our choice if we made that choice alone. However, you know, cutting them off. I'll say this from my heart and experiences, though, however, that don't allow them to make you feel that bad, you know, way, or even control you in any way, shape, or form in your life. Do what makes you feel happy. Do what makes you feel safe and secure. Do what makes you feel at peace within yourself, even if it means that after what they've done to you, maybe just give you time to actually do some self-discovery about your own self again, about who and what you are as a person, if you've lost yourself in that transition stage of basically of that change, basically while you were so caught up in the, you know, toxicity of, you know, what they did to you and whatnot. Okay, because and we need to look after ourselves, number one. That's more important than actually trying to, like I'm trying to tell myself, not be a superhero and look after everybody, because I can't please everybody, like I said in my last video of the one of the spoken word truth of the pick me to pieces. I will recommend you guys to listen to that and hopefully maybe see if it's a word of support and encouragement to you all today, you know, if you need it. Anyway, now to continue on about this toxic people topic, though, however, there are many traits, however, that many people, toxic people, will portray or show out. And they are, number one, the one classic one is they'll tend to play the victim. They'll reverse the role. Instead of you being the victim, they'll play the victim. You know, they won't get their own way, however. They'll try and get their own way when they know they can't get their own way. They'll act like they're in control of everything when they're not. And in this factor, it's like they feel it's the end of the world and they'll tend to blame everyone else but not them. Okay, no matter what has happened in that, you know, relationship. Here's an example of your boyfriend or girlfriend that you were with. They'll try to convince everyone to that their life is far worse than the other person that was actually going through hell and back. Been there, done that, so I can speak from experience here as well, so to speak. Okay, number two, they will inhibit or show manipulative traits. I've seen this also so many times before, especially in other people's relationships, which I don't want to name names or anything of what I've seen. But hey, that's their monkey business, so to speak. Okay, selfish as they may act selfish and only care about themselves. Okay, in this part of this trait. They will use a form of control to manipulate you in the situation that you guys are in, regardless of what it is. They won't accept the full responsibility, accountability for their own actions. Again, they'll blame everyone else but themselves. So almost similar to number one trait that they play the victim. And last but not least of the traits is they think that they're better than everyone else. Obviously, they'll have a high ego system, arrogant trait of themselves, basically, thinking that, they can do anything they want. Actually, bear with me. Actually, 5 traits I've done here, not 3. I'm reading wrong. So I humbly apologise. So number 4 was basically, again, their selfish nature. Okay. Again, they care about themselves and won't hardly give back in return. No matter how hard you give to them and you expect them to give something in return, you tend to question what the hell, and they're not. Okay, and number 5, the last but not least, they're a bad influence. Okay, obviously for what I'm meaning there is they'll push you into some extremities out of your comfort zone and you're making you feel uncomfortable to doing what you feel that is you shouldn't be done. And that no matter what, they'll tend to won't want to take no for an answer. So you're gonna have to keep saying yes, 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 ma'am, yes, there, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, whatever. You're under their control bars, with this bad influential thing. So to end this, to give you a few advice and tips along the way on this toxic, toxic people get out of my life right now. Okay, hopefully this will be alright to share with you. Bear with me. It's just most of my opinions and, experiences versus everything else. But the advice that I want to give you is, if you find yourself in any of these situations, regardless big or small, of anyone that you feel that is in your social circle, no matter what status quo you're at, be it you've got a friend there that you feel that you need to be friends with for life, or a partner that you're with, regardless, okay, that is not expliciting, wrong word, that is showing the 5 traits that I've given you right now, basically, that I've explained. Maybe it is time for you to sit down sometime, on your own, somewhere quiet, reevaluate the actual situation or even the relationship that you're in with that person, and decide what is actually best for you, because at the end of the day, as again, choice is up to you. Do you want to continue the relationship, be it the friendship, be it your boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, or whoever relationship status quo you're at? Okay, because at the end of the day, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be at peace. You deserve to be looked after. You deserve to be treated like a king or queen. You deserve to be, healthy. Okay, not the quite opposite. You don't deserve to be teared down by that person. You don't deserve to be sick. You don't deserve all these negativities that they're throwing at you. Also, to be in mind with this tip and advice that I'm giving you is, though, decide what's more important, though, keeping them in your life or kicking them to the curb. Okay, as well as maybe losing yourself in the process if you decide to, keep them inside your circle close. Obviously, the choice starts with you, ends with you. There's a reason to why they're called toxic in the first place, however. Is it time to let go of them and move forward to be happy, etc.? Or is it just time to still withhold back to actually just keep them happy and let them control you? Again, choice factor is yours though, however. But I'm trying to say this out of love, guys, basically, because how I see it, if someone did this to me, kick to the curb, bye, bye, bye. I don't need this toxicity anymore. I don't deserve this. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be free. I deserve to be at peace within myself, as well as hopefully having a clear head also versus, my mental state versus my physical state versus my, spiritual state, It's all about that. Anyway, love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Basically, move forward if you can without these toxic people. Hashtag change, hashtag peace. So that is basically toxic people get out of my life right now. Basically, giving you a like for thumbs up for support. Basically, comment below if you feel that you want me to bring any other topics that you feel of value and yes, to support whatever the case may be, because I'm all about supporting and advocating as well as sharing my life story with it also that you guys can understand me more as a person, even though I'm hoping now as I'm been sharing these life stories, regardless what they are, that's close to my heart to share with you all, that you are understanding me more as a person without any judgmentality. Cool, because I'm trying to accept you guys, warts and all of you guys, you know, issues, regardless if you're suffering from depression and all that, because it's all about, you know, supporting one another, not knocking each other down. But then again, we know we can't, as I said in one of my videos, please everyone to the core. So in all further ado, guys, do what you love what you do. Feel free to share my videos to your friends, family. Also, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. So once again, guys, thanks for the support, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.